Hi, you're welcome to another edition of Broken Not Shattered. It is your boy, OBG. And today I'll be standing in for Ike, who is unavoidably absent. Yeah, that reminds me. It's Ike's birthday this week. And so, guys, I would love you to try and do a shout out to my guy, Ike. Well, having said that, I want to deeply appreciate every of our followers, members, and families who always find time to visit us and share the link and follow us on all social media platforms. I really want to thank you so much. Um, Lately, we've been trying to cross the 10,000 followers, and it's happening. And in fact, it has happened. I'm Honestly, I want to appreciate you all from the depth of my heart. And for those who are just joining us, please, this is Broken, Not Shattered. Do well to follow us on all social media platforms. We are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube, we are on Spotify and TikTok and on Instagram. Do well to follow us and share the links with your family and friends so that they get notified whenever we come online. Today with me is Joy Foster. Joy, it's nice having you in the studio. Please introduce yourself as you want the audience to get to know you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Joy Foster, and I'm the founder of Tech Pixies and also Luminosity Leadership. It's a company based out of the UK, even though I sound American. I am American, married to a Brit. That's how I ended up here. It's really about helping. Tech Pixies is really about helping women gain confidence with technology so that they can return to work, change careers, or start a business. We started out teaching social media, and now we are starting to teach AI because that's really essential in today's world. And Luminosity Leadership is less about getting women into work as it is about helping women move up within work to leadership positions and helping them to lead from their heart and authentically. And so a lot of the work we do is really around making sure that women believe in themselves and
Mm.
they execute on that belief and they show up in the world the way they want to show up.
Wow. I think you read my mind because what I had wanted to ask you earlier was why women? But it's interesting that in your introduction, you just said that. Thank you so much. And I would want to ask you, in as much as you've said a little about it, you are the CEO of a tech company. Tell us how the journey started.
Yeah, so any good company starts with a good problem. And the problem that I was trying to solve was women taking career breaks and then not re-entering the workforce. So a lot of women will take a career break, to have a child, or they'll take a career break if they get cancer. They'll take a career break if they get divorced. They'll take a career break during menopause. So there's lots of different reasons why women take career breaks. And what we found in our research, we interviewed 1,000 women, and what we found is the number one barrier that stopped women from going back to work was lack of confidence in their digital skills. And they also felt 54% of women felt that taking a career break negatively impacted their careers. And so a big part of the work that we did initially was to help women return to work and not feel like it was like they had to take a step back to go back into work, which is what most women feel like after they've had a break. But there's lots of reasons why people come out of the workplace, and I myself came out of the workplace, and I was an athlete. I was a full-time athlete. That was the first career break that I took. I trained for the 2004 and 2008 Olympics in archery, and so when I wanted to go back to work, it was not straightforward. And then I had a career break when I had both of my kids. So there's lots of different things that take people out. So for me, it was really about addressing a problem that I saw, which was a lot of very intelligent women who were not working, who wanted to work, and the data backed it up. We knew at the time that I launched the business, which is about 10 years ago, there were about 750,000 women in the UK alone who had good skill levels but were out of work and couldn't find work that suited their skill level. So really it was born out of a problem, my own problem and the problem of my peers. And in many ways, I started a company for myself because I couldn't get a job that would give me flexibility and pay me what I wanted. And by setting up my own company, I had a little bit more control over that, and then could help other people to do that too. So one of the things we've done since is actually teach women how to start businesses, because a lot of women don't know how to do that and don't realize how much easier it is to start a business today than it was, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, even.
I just want to digress a bit before I get into other questions I have. This might sound psychological, right? But you made mention of, the problems we discovered, which was one of the reasons of how you founded this company, Tech Pixies. Now, what is your ideology of trouble or problems as a tech person? Is he a blessing or a curse?
A problem. So they're a blessing or a curse?
Yes.
Well, I think they're a blessing. When we look at challenges that we face, we recognize that that's the foundation for building a life that we would love. So, I do a lot of life coaching and a lot of neuro coaching within our communities. And one of the things that I say is, when you're building a vision, you have to first start with your longings and discontent. So, if you aren't happy with what's going on in your life, that's a good thing, because you can do something about it. You're not a victim, you are a co-creator. So if something's not going well in your life, you can actually say, okay, that's not going well, and actually this is what I want to have happen in my life. This is my vision. And so we always say start with a vision, right? So for me, I see obstacles as qualifiers. I see them as opportunities to grow. Anytime you have a longing and discontent in your life, anything that's not going well, or the way that you want it to go, or, a business venture is failing, or, a marriage is failing, or your health is failing, it's an opportunity. And what you do with that opportunity is what matters, right? And I think coming into it with an open mindset rather than a fixed mindset is really important. And I like to use the word yet when I'm teaching that, because a lot of people will say, well, I'm just too old to do social media, or I don't have anything to say, or I have no ideas, and your brain will believe it because you say it to yourself over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So we want to add the word yet. So it's like, well, I don't know how to do social media professionally yet, or I don't know how to launch a business yet, or I don't know how to fix this problem yet. But I like to teach the term everything is figure outable, which comes from a very successful female entrepreneur, Marie Forleo. And it's this idea that I don't know how to fix it, but I don't know how to fix it yet. Like, everything is figure outable. If they can figure out how to land someone on the moon, or if they can figure out how to slingshot someone around the moon, you can figure out most problems, and JFK was famous for saying, we don't even have the metals yet that we need to develop to build this spaceship. So you can have a vision without knowing how it's all going to work out. You can have a vision knowing, I don't know all the steps, but it's a step up from looking at a problem and then feeling defeated because you're the victim of it. So the idea here is, I'm not a victim, I'm a co-creator, and I can use the problems in my life to create great solutions. And if you're lucky enough, you become an entrepreneur that creates a solution that actually makes money for you and your investors and your, and your team. So you can pay for people, you pay people to work for you as well. So I see, I love solving problems. And I think that's why I am an entrepreneur. I think most entrepreneurs do like solving problems.
So problems are blessings.
Problems are blessings. Yes.
Interesting. So Tech Pixies have been decorated with several awards, and amongst which stands out is the Enterprise Nations Female Startup of the Year 2027. And again, with these recognitions and decorations, how has it impacted your journey so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was 2017, and that was probably that was our first award, actually, and it put us on the map. And I had to pitch to a room of like 200-300 people And that was really daunting. And there was a panel of judges. So it was the first time I pitched the company in an environment like that. And I remember feeling really nervous, but I was also really geared up. I wore a red dress, and I came out and I had 5 slides, and I had like 3 minutes, and I had to do each slide in under 30 seconds. And it was a really big deal winning that award. And it really changed the trajectory of the company, because I think one of the things about awards, which is really interesting, is that you have to sort of nominate yourself for them. I sort of thought, oh, well, if you're good at stuff, people will just give you an award. That's not how it works. You have to make the case for the award. And when you win it, once you get that first one, it's much easier to get the second one and the third one and the fourth one. And we've won quite a few now. And where that's been really helpful, like I have an investor, 2 investors, actually. One investor, after we won a big one a couple years ago. It was a Women in Tech Entrepreneur of the Year award. And I had an investor invest like within a week of us winning that award, because what they saw was that we were validated externally, and so they didn't have to do the same due diligence that maybe you would do if you hadn't won awards. So, it's more of a bet. Whereas when you're starting to win awards, it just says to investors, it says to clients, this company is a legit company and they're good at what they do. And I had another investor who came in. He said, oh, I saw all your awards and that was it. That's all I needed to know, that you were going to be good at what you do. So it really makes a big difference. So I would say to entrepreneurs who are early on in their journey, apply for as many awards as you can, because you will win one eventually. You just got to keep applying, and then they multiply, and you get one and then another and then another, and it really builds, and it builds your reputation, and making sure that you're winning them regularly is also really important. So I'm a big fan of awards. I'm very grateful to the ones that we have won, because they've made a big difference in funding our business.
Yeah, interesting. And that brings me to the saying that if you can sell one product, it means there's a possibility to sell another. And that's a big motivation. Now, with your experience, how would you encourage women who feel to come out of self-doubt when trying a new thing or starting all over? With your experience?
Yeah, I have a lot of experience with that. I've worked with about 16,000 women who've had that exact problem. When you're coming out of, when you don't feel like you've got the experience, the first thing you can do is learn. Go learn something, right? Go learn something new. I mean, the cool thing about right now in 2026, when this is being recorded, is there's a lot happening really quickly in technology, particularly with AI. But the thing is even the people at the top, they don't really know what they're doing. Like it's sort of like early days of social media, when no one really knew what they were doing. They were just trying things and experimenting things. There's a lot of ways to learn. And I would encourage you to go and learn something. And then I would encourage you to go and apply what you've learned. So, if you go and you learn how to build a website, then go build a website, right? Like, so go do those things. Because and don't try and figure out on your own. Like, I'm a big fan of join a course. Obviously we run courses, so I love courses. I've done tons of I've invested a lot of money over the years in courses for myself, for my team. Learn from someone who's done it, and don't try and figure it out on your own. That's the first piece of advice I always give people, is go learn something new. Do it with a group of people. If you're going to start running, you're going to have a lot more fun running in a running group than you are going to be running on your own, right? So it's the same thing in business. Like, go find a group of people that are doing what you want to do and learn along with them. And, it's really fun when you're in a group and you don't feel like you're alone trying to do this thing.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And we're going to go on a very quick break, a very quick few seconds break, and then we're back. We will continue. Please stay with us. Guys, you're welcome back to another edition of Broken Not Shattered. Today with us is Joy Foster. And before we bring her back again to continue with the exciting discussion on tech, I want to still remind you that today Ike is unavoidably absent. But then he's going to be back in the next episode. And again, guys, please just know it that Ike's birthday is this week and try and do a little shout out for him. He's been a great guy. And then again, I want to thank all our followers who have followed us consistently, day in, day out, week in, week out. And if you're not following us, do where to follow us. This is BNS. Join us on all our social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. Thank you guys for staying with us. Joy Foster, you've been a great guest. I don't know how to appreciate you. But then, having said all you said, how does it feel and how do you handle pressure and expectation as a founder with thousands of women following you? How do you handle pressure and expectations?
Well, that's a great question. And I think, for me, I was an athlete, and it helps a lot to have that training as an athlete because you're under pressure all the time. When I was training for the Olympics, I lived at the Olympic Training Center. I was under pressure all the time. I was competing at the international level. So I think that really set me up. But even if you don't have an athletic background, a sporting background, a competitive background, you can put yourself in pressure situations by getting out of your comfort zone, right? And so you don't have to be an athlete to get out of your comfort zone, right? So if you want to learn how to speak another language, that'll put you out of your comfort zone, right? So if you can't swim and you decide you're going to go to swim lessons to learn how to swim, you're going to be a better swimmer. That's going to put you under pressure and you'll become a better swimmer. So it's a muscle you build. It's really important to understand that dealing with pressure is a muscle that you can build, and you really have to put yourself out of your comfort zone again and again and again to build that muscle. And when life gets a little bit too samey, and you're waking up doing the same thing every day and you're not challenging yourself, that's usually when it's time to get out of your comfort zone and do something a bit more challenging, because that's where you learn how you learn a lot about yourself. You build character in those moments.
Interesting. You're big on confidence, always talking about confidence. So when do you build confidence? Before you start or because you started?
That's an easy question to answer. So I have two quotes that I love. So the first quote is, confidence comes from doing things that you've never done before and then realizing you didn't die. Okay. And then if you don't have the confidence, grab the courage. Exactly. So to be honest, I think courage comes before confidence. You have to have the courage to do something out of your comfort zone in order to then have the confidence to actually do the thing. So, like if you want to, well, a great example is if you want to, do a bungee jump. Like, now personally, that's another level of like, for me, I've never had the desire to do the bungee jump. Not something important to me. One of my mentors had this desire to do the bungee jump, and it was an intuitive feeling like, you need to go jump, you need to go do this. And when she got to the bungee jump place, they said to her, okay, on 3, we're going to push you, like, we're going to push you on 3. And so they got to 1 and then 2. Oh, and then he said, and if you don't jump, then you can step back, but we only let you do it one more time. Right. And so of course she gets to 1, 2, 3, and she didn't go because she was scared. Right. And so then the guy said, okay, we're going to go one more time. But if you don't go when I push you, or like, I'm going to push you or whatever. Anyway, they get on to 2 and he pushes her. So before they even got to 3, he pushed her before she got to 3. Because she didn't have time to like say no, and she didn't want to do it. And I think sometimes we have to look at life like that. We have to sort of go, I got to jump before I'm ready. And I'm pretty good at jumping before I'm ready. So I don't feel like I've got to do bungee jumping to prove myself. But the point being that the courage comes before the confidence. You've got to just go for it and then figure it out on the way down. I like to say, build the plane on the way down. You got to build the plane to stay in the air, right? So for me, it's all about being uncomfortable, allowing yourself to be uncomfortable. That's going to really build up your ability to deal with pressure.
Interesting. My father of blessed memories then would always say, it is always risky not to take risk.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go a little personal this time. Your bio said you're an athlete and you married an Olympic medalist. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was on
Was
the
it
United.
intentional? Was it intentional or a coincidence? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was intentional actually. So I met him, my now husband, who I've been married to almost 17 years. It'll be 17 years in a month today. I met him when I studied at the London School of Economics for a year, and I joined the rowing team, and he was coaching the men's team. I was on the women's team, and we dated, and then we dated for about 10 months, and we broke up, and we didn't see each other or speak to each other for 7 years. And then we were both at the Beijing Olympics because I had tried out for the team, but I hadn't made it. So I decided to go and work at the Olympics. And at that point, he'd already won 2 Olympic medals, 9 world championships, but he was coaching one of the teams and I was working on the news service. So I just said to him, hey, do you want to meet up and sort of let bygones be bygones? And so we met up. And 10 days later, we were engaged, and I flew back to California and sold everything I owned, got on a plane and flew back to Europe. And I've been here for a long time. I've been here since 2008. So 22 years, I think. Is that right? So yeah, almost 20 years, 18 years. I can't do my math today. But yeah, I think, no, I guess the intention part is, the funny story is after we got married and had 2 children, I didn't tell him this story until we were married and had 2 kids. But I watched him win the world championships in 1999. I watched him win the world championships, and he was interviewed afterwards. And he said, they asked, there was sort of a backstory that he'd been taken out of the 4 and put into the 8. And he didn't really want to be there, but he was there to help out and with the hope that he'd go back into the 4. And I didn't know the backstory. What I did know was that when they interviewed him, they said, well, because they pulled ahead in the race and they were winning the race, and then they lose at the very end. The Americans win, and they interviewed the Americans, and the Americans had their sunglasses on. They were really cocky. They're like, we're awesome. We're going to win the gold next year. We're the best team in the world, which is a little bit embarrassing as an American because it was just it was too much. And then they interviewed the British team, and he was the captain. And I didn't know the backstory, but they interviewed him, and he said, oh, I'm just really proud of the guys. They pulled together. They worked as a team. They did a great job. It was 1999. It feels like forever ago. And I was at university, and I was young, and I was like, I'm going to marry him one day. And I just said it out loud, sort of jokingly, but not jokingly. He was very handsome and he was very humble. And I sort of joke now. I say, I should get you a T-shirt that says I'm hot and humble. And then he said, well, that would defeat the purpose because, but he's very, obviously he's very handsome, but also he was very humble. And those were 2 traits that I really admired, was the sporting prowess and the humility. And so, I guess the intentionality came from, I loved being around Olympians. I loved being around Olympic medalists. They had something different than the regular population. He's definitely not part of the normal population. And I think that to me was very intriguing. Like, what is it that makes someone an Olympic gold medalist? They're just very different people. And it's really, I'm really grateful that I'm married to him, and I get to learn from him all the time because he has a work ethic, and he has a way of living that is so unique. And so I intentionally married an Olympic gold medalist, I would say. And on my vision, it was that I would, that I'd go to the Olympics, that I would win a medal. And in many ways, even though I didn't go to the Olympics as an athlete, I've been to 3 Olympics. And I brought home an Olympic medal, 2 of them, maybe not my own, but my husband's.
Interesting. That's interesting. I love that story. That's a very perfect love story, anyways.
Yeah.
And before we close the show, there are a few questions I just want to ask. Maybe two or more, but we're running out of time, so I'm just going to keep it too quick. What is next for you? What are you doing currently as well? And what is next? And what do you have to tell women out there who are struggling? Should we get into tech or not?
Yeah. So what's next is we have for the last decade we've taught women how to use social media, and you can still learn social media through us if you go to techpixies.com/2 steps. We'll teach you the 2 steps that I do every day to make our social media move forward. So I think women should be thinking about getting on social media if they're not already. And then we're going to be teaching a lot more AI because AI is really important for women in particular, because a lot of jobs are going to disappear for women. 57% of women will be adversely affected by AI. So really what we're teaching women how to do is how to use AI so that they can continue to have jobs that are relevant in the next phase of technological shifts, which is happening right now as we speak.
Interesting. So many people listening to you now will be wondering, how do we reach out to you? So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So if you're interested in in returning to work, changing careers, or starting a business, our Tech Pixies program is the place to be. So you can follow us online at Tech Pixies, and it's techpixies.com. Tech Pixies on all of the social medias, TECHPIXIES. And then if you're interested in leadership and in leading the next generation of workers, etc., that is our Luminosity Leadership Program, and I run all of that out of LinkedIn. So just find me, Joy Foster, on LinkedIn.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Joy, for joining us today on this special edition. But before you leave
Would you
the
like me to
studio,
sing the birthday rap to Ike?
yes, you will. But before
Yeah.
we go, I just want to ask you one of our traditional questions. So
Yeah.
we have a tradition here, which is the guest before you dropped a question, and that question has no right or wrong. And then you're going to answer it, and then you're going to drop off the question for the next guest, regardless of who the guest might be.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. So this is the question. What advice can you share with us to learn from you?
Ah, well, I would say my advice is have a vision for what you want in your life. Because if you don't have a vision, most people plan a holiday more than they'll plan a vision for their life. 365 days from now, you're still going to be breathing. If you're still breathing, you'll have lived a life. So my advice is create a vision for that life. You get one precious, beautiful life. So make sure you're living it intentionally.
Interesting. Thank you so much. So what's going to be your own drop-off question?
My drop-off question, and then I have to sing the birthday rap. My drop-off question is, if there's one thing that you're scared to do and you could take the fear away, what would you do?
Interesting. More like a tech person, I see that. We use AI to solve that problem. Okay. Now you've requested to sing the birthday song for Ike. Please,
Okay,
you
you
have the
ready?
floor.
Okay, well,
Yes, ready.
this is for everybody to sing along. So you got to clap. Okay, so you put your hands together and give a clap, because here we go with the birthday rap. Well, I might sing it right and I might sing it wrong. Here we go with the birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday.
Interesting. I like that. Thank you so much, Joy. You've made our day today in the studio. We're so happy that you stopped by to share this beautiful moment with us. We'll plead with you to please do not go far. Stay within reach so that we can get across to you anytime, any day. To have you in the studio again, it's been awesome having you. Thank you so much. But before you leave, I want to also thank our audience who have always been with us for staying with us till this time and for following us through. And if you're not following us yet, please do well to follow us on BNS on all social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. And do well to share with your friends and family. Thank you. Joy Foster, thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. And as always, our last and famous word will say love, peace, and more grace. Until we meet again, this is your boy, OBG, standing in for Ike. Bye for now.